Secondly, on military matters, I actually worry less about Incirlik than some people. I think we Americans have to be careful. There's always a tendency whenever we have a crisis with one key ally in a key region to decide that the base that we've got there that we've been using so much is irreplaceable. I actually think this is a good example of when that's not the case. It's much easier and better to fly out of Incirlik than out of Qatar. Maybe we should rely less on Qatar, by the way, for other reasons. So maybe we should try to diversify our presence. But we have a lot of options in the broader Middle East. We have Kuwait. We have Bahrain. Has its own issues, but it's another option. We have aircraft carriers coming from either direction with planes. And we have other European allies, Italy. Now, all of these involve flying several hundred miles instead of several dozen miles to get to the battlefield, and that's not good. But several hundred miles is still less than an hour, and we can do it. It's not as if the access to bases is the constraining factor on our military effectiveness in this war in Syria or Iraq. Having said that, we still rely enormously on Turkey on the ground. And we are not going to be successful in Syria, in my judgment, unless and until we can get to a much greater level of collaboration with Turkey in terms of how we do things, most of which I don't know about, you don't know about, and if we did, we couldn't talk about them in this room. A lot of the covert things, a lot of the smaller things. Apparently, we have some 300 Americans on the ground in Syria today. I saw that number in today's newspaper. That was news to me. I thought the number was more like 100 to 200. I don't know what the right number is, and I don't even know if that 300 is all-inclusive. But the point is that when you try to access specific insurgent groups within certain parts, especially of northern Syria, you rely on Turkey. Now, yes, you can come in through Iraq. Yes, you can come in by airplane. But if you're imagining a larger operation that ultimately tries to create the kinds of safe havens that Secretary Clinton has talked about, as well as General Petraeus and others, if you're thinking ultimately about trying to provide relief on the ground inside of Syria to mitigate the refugee flows, the kinds of things that we're trying to get going now with these small numbers have to expand if we're going to be successful. And I don't believe that airlift or access exclusively through Iraq is a particularly good way to think about how we're going to have to operate in the future. So I think the collaboration between the United States and Turkey on the ground is crucial, even if there are workarounds for Incirlik.